TalesFromYourServer, episode 30. Please don't risk your life over chips. I had a college-age woman in with her parents last week. Dad orders first, sandwich and homemade chips. The college-age woman ordered next and told me she has a severe shellfish allergy. We are predominantly a seafood place. Her parents stress that she will be hospitalized for the smallest amount. I thank her for informing me, went through her order with her, and told her she was safe with everything except her side, which were the homemade chips. The chips are cooked in all the fryers, and while they try to time making chips after oil changes, sometimes it doesn't work out that way and no one would guarantee her safety. I told her every single one of our other side options would be safe, including the fries, because they have a dedicated fryer. She was disappointed, but went with the fries. Her mother orders a crab cake sandwich with the chips on the side. She then tells her daughter that she can try one of her chips, see how she feels, and if she is okay then she will trade her. I protest. Please don't. It isn't worth it. They seem to ignore me and agree. There's nothing I can do at this point except make it as safe as possible for her, so I tell the young lady if she survives the trial chip, I will bring her an order of her own, so she won't have to share her mom's. They laugh at my wording. I bluntly reiterate that if they want to risk her life, that was between them, but I highly recommend she not eat the chips. They thank me, and I put the order in and give the manager the story, because I know I will get blamed if this girl starts having a reaction. Food comes out, and the daughter immediately grabs a chip off the top of the crab cake. I dramatically tell her of all the chips on the plate she chooses the one that certainly would give her a reaction. For real, put that one down and chose any other chip. She does, but then she didn't even taste the chip, she pressed it against her arm. Her dad says she is so allergic that even touching her arm will give her a welt within a minute. First remark that it is smart but not foolproof, wish her luck and excuse myself. I'm honestly scared to go back and see her eating the chips, so I give them longer than I normally would have before checking on them. I come back and she is eating the chips. The entire time they were there I was stressing about the possibility of calling an ambulance. When I dropped the check they asked to speak to a manager. We both expected it to be time for the shit show to start. She goes over, and they do nothing but rave about how great I was, knowledgeable, and concerned for their daughter's safety. They filled out a comment card, the owner is never there, but reads all of them, saying the same thing. They paid, left me a very generous tip, and I'll probably never see them again. It is days later now, and I still can't understand why chips would be worth your life, but, shrug. Tips are your money. If you are in the US, your employer/manager/supervisor cannot legally do some of the slimy shit I see posted in this sub from time to time /1. Tips are ******* money. They cannot keep it, you sit to pay for till shortages or breakage, or you sit as part of your wages, unless you are in a tip credit state. They also cannot require you to tip out other workers such as bartenders, chef, etc. Here is fact sheet from the US Department of Labor, https://www.dol.gov/whd/regs/compliance/whdfs15.pdf. /2. You are not liable for /3. Depending on the state you live in, you may have to pay for breakage or shortages, as long as you are still paid the minimum wage for the week. This depends on the state. Some such as California don't allow employer to do this, some like Arkansas don't have any rules about it. But they can only deduct it from your paycheck, not your tips ***BECAUSE tips are your money. More info. https://blogs.findlaw.com/free/underscore enterprise/2015/01/ Can you make employees pay for breakage or customer theft? .html. https://blogs.findlaw.com/free Enterprise/2015/01/ Can you make employees pay for breakage or customer theft? .html. Hope this helps you protect your rights and your money. Heaven knows you work hard enough for it. Have a good shift. The right response. I finally had the right response. Everyone knows about fall/winter server staffing in hometowns. College kids go back to their college towns. People less likely to start looking for new jobs, minimal staff, overworked, and cranky customers losing their sunlight and warmth. One such bunghallio decides that the three of us covering bar/hosting/seating/waitressing and busing are just not enough to adequately care for him and his buddy. You tell your boss he needs to hire more staff. He pours out venomously. Yes. Great. Shall I grab you an application then? Snicker. A sticky situation. This particular instance takes place during a busy brunch. Our brunches tend to be pretty crowded on their own, but it was right at peak time as the churches were letting out. We have the typical brunch foods like waffles and pancakes, and as a result, we also have syrup. This sucks because I somehow always get syrup on my hands as I run food, which means it gets on everything I touch. I was taking care of my tables when a lady from my friend's section stopped me to ask for more syrup. It's important to note that we don't have bottles of syrup at the tables and instead give them syrup in the little plastic sauce cups instead. Since I was already going to the kitchen anyway, I was fine with it. I had to bring out some dessert for my table, so I ended up balancing the syrup cup with 2 plates and 4 forks in my hands. I guess I got too cocky and decided not to use a tray because the syrup cup fell and splashed syrup all over my pants and shoes. I happened to be wearing shoes with breathable canvas, so they soaked the syrup right up. I could feel the syrup seep into the sole of my shoe and stick to my foot each time I moved. I should mention that I absolutely hate the feeling of being sticky, so this killed a little part of me inside with every step I took. I realized that there was nothing I could do, and I still needed to deliver the syrup and dessert, so I took a moment to rethink my life choices, then carry on. Once I delivered the extra syrup, the lady complained that it took too long, and she had already finished her pancakes. Guess you can't please everyone. This happened 3 hours into my shift, and I had to spend the following 3 hours walking around with gross sticky pants and shoes. The first thing I did when I got home was take the most relieving shower of my life. I need to find a good way to wash my shoes now because the syrup is embedded in them. A happy one. There's a special on Tuesdays at my place of work, a bottle of wine and an entree intended to split 2 ways for around $30. It's one of the busier weeknights and typically one of the best nights for tips. So as usual, we get a rush. I have about 12 tables going, 2 of which are 6 tops, but I'm busting it out. Everyone has their food in front of them in a timely manner, nothing has been forgotten, drinks remain filled, managing some friendly chit chat at my tables. For some reason, when it's died down I'm collecting my checks and they are all 10% or less. Usually I run back through things and try and see if there was some issue with my service, but I'm drawing a blank. A couple of tables that left bad tips even commented on how sweet I was, saying they would ask for me next time. Whatever, it happens. Stressing about it or getting pissed does nothing, so I'm just grateful to be getting cut soon. I'm heading out after my table leaves, a younger couple who have been super sweet all night. I drop their check, make some more chit chat with them, tell them I'll be right back with their change. Guy says it's yours, so I thank them and tell them to come back soon. You guys, it was $100 on a $40 bill. This dude tipped me over 50% and was gone by the time I rushed back outside to make sure that was his intent. Something about his expression when he told me to keep the change in the rushed exit makes me think it was deliberate. So because of one table, I just walked out with twice as much as I had made the entirety of the rest of the night. Half a beer. Copied from a bartender friend. Today I had a customer who ordered a beer, drank half and asked me how much for the half beer, then got angry and confused when I told him he would have to pay for the whole beer, since he ordered it. It was $3. That's how my day is going. Long, 4 stories from my old jobs. I've been working in gastronomy for over 6 years now and had quite a few interesting experiences. A lot of rich people that are looking to party are attracted to where I live. Basically everything here revolves around tourism, so naturally we have a lot of immigrants as well. The eventual language barrier between the staff, plus an annoying boss/drunk customer can lead to pretty tense situations. I've seen quite a few people snap, and these are some of the best you won't believe what happened stories the staff always told the new employees during lunch. 1. The Russian grill master and the Ukrainian samurai lady. This happened at a restaurant I briefly worked at early in my career. The boss was quite a douche. We all knew it, but needed the cash. He hired lots of immigrants who barely spoke the language for poor money and let them work in the kitchen. His reasoning was that they don't have to talk to the customer anyways. One of them was the Russian grill master. We'll call him Dmitry. He stood at over 2 meters and was a goddamn giant. Let me mention, the boss, I'll refer to him as Gremlin from now on, was quite short. He was only about 1 foot 65 meters. The Ukrainian samurai lady was another one of the candidates for this great job. Her name will be Olga. Gremlin had a bad habit of yelling at the employees, even in front of customers. And so did his wife, also an Ukrainian woman I'll call Baba Yaga. Boy, she had a temper. Gremlin took care of supervising us from the service staff, while Baba Yaga unleashed her fury upon the kitchen staff. Every day you'd get yelled at by these two psychos. Most people quit during the first few months, including myself and another guy who started there with me. One day there was an argument between Dmitry and Baba Yaga over how some of the meat on the grill should be prepared. You could hear it from the inside of the dining area, so Gremlin noticed the action and decided to join in on the fun. After a lot of arguing, Dmitry finally had enough. He put his hand around Gremlin's throat and lifted him high up. It wasn't easy to keep in the laughter at the sight of his little legs frantically kicking the air. Dmitry didn't hurt him though, and quit his job the same afternoon. One day, there was an argument between Olga and Baba Yaga over how some of the food in the kitchen should be prepared. As always, you could hear it all the way from the inside of the dining area, so Gremlin decided to go see what's up. Notice a pattern? Just like Dmitry, Olga eventually snapped. But unlike the Russian giant, she is armed with her trusty kitchen knife. I was working inside the dining area. The restaurant has a huge glass wall facing the street, and around the corner is the back door exit from the kitchen. Imagine my face when suddenly seeing Gremlin sprint by, followed by Olga wielding a knife. It does make me feel sorry about Gremlin when I think about it. His wife sets all these fires and he always ends up getting burned too. Alcohol and arguing with the wife, a classic. These events took place a good while after I quit the previously mentioned job. By now, I was managing a bar inside a 5-star hotel. This means talking to and taking care of customers, supervising that everything runs smoothly, and lend a hand should it be necessary. We had a total of 160 tables and 2 stages for shows. It was during one of these shows that a family of 3 appeared. A man in his 40s, his wife and his daughter. At first it's going well, but as time progresses and he gets more drunk, his family starts feeling increasingly embarrassed. At some point they're having a loud argument right beside the counter and his wife and daughter leave back to their room. He's obviously upset and asks me for some tequila. I oblige. He keeps drinking shot after shot, but I've been far more wasted than that and did fine, so I gave him some more. By now the tequila looks like it really starts kicking in, and I tell him he had enough for the night. But he refuses to leave before having one last vodka and Coke, so I just put some water in there instead and give him that, free of charge OFC. Not even a few sips into it, he drops the glass. No big deal. I call one of my coworkers to clean it up and tell the customer to go sit down somewhere else in the meantime. He was wearing sandals, but ignored my advice and started stumbling around barefoot anyways. I was just baffled that he didn't hurt himself with the amount of times he forgot to put on his shoes. Finally, he decides to go to his room. But he isn't able to walk the long way inside the complex by himself, let alone find it, so the bellboy ends up driving him around on the cart thingy they use to transport the luggage. Half an hour later the bellboy's back, telling me that the wife refuses to let him into the room. Awesome. What now? I ask. In the end we just brought him into the spa and let him sleep in the massage chair. Must have slept like a baby. Also, I got a nice tip when they checked out the one weekend long nerd mega party. This hotel I mentioned before is where I worked most the time of my career. The complex was huge. We had 5 restaurants and 3 bars, a buffet, Italian, Mediterranean, sushi, grill, cafeteria, the main bar and a bar inside the pool. We also did events for larger groups of people who could afford to rent out the whole upper floors. On the rooftop there was a big room to host presentations, and it's where most of the action took place. There was this huge group of around 200 rich nerds that spent a weekend at the hotel when one of the new Star Wars movies came out. Holy crap, these people party like it's their last day on Earth. I'm talking girls stripping, prostitutes, drugs, orgies, etc. They rented out all of the upper floors though, so most of the other guests were completely oblivious to what was going on. But not us, from the bar staff. Because it's the only department in the hotel that focuses on this aspect of gastronomy, not fine dining, and it's the department I was in charge of. I also took care of the event. Me and a handful of coworkers were the only ones allowed to go up there and knew exactly what's up. The first thing you saw when reaching the top of the stairs, most guests would take the elevator, was a threesome between some furries, 2 guys and a girl. Once they finished they just left the condoms laying there and went back to the party. A few of them even took the elevator down into our storage area. Not all of it was bad tough. Some of the girls were legit 10/10ths dragging around a dude in a Darth Vader mask carrying a plastic light sword. I remember kids in the hotel getting excited about seeing the giant fluffy animals. Thank God for their ignorance. While the event on the rooftop went by relatively calm, by the time I was informed about what was going on in the storage area, it was a blur of alcohol, sex, and drugs. A lot of them were cheating, and one even offered me $100 worth of cocaine to let them keep doing what they were doing, so he didn't have to go to his room. Needless to say L rejected the offer for who let the dogs out. This is the last one of my stories. It's the most recent one and happened 2 years ago. I was backpacking in another country and worked at a hostel as a barista. Part of why I took that job was because we didn't have to pay any rent in exchange for our work. This meant you would have to take turns with the other employees to cover the night shift though, because someone always had to be available in case of an emergency. One of the new employees was a very attractive Brazilian girl, we'll call her Mariah. She had her own apartment near the hostel and would come over every now and then to do the night shift. Since some other coworkers and me always used to stay up late and there was mostly nothing to do, she often joined us. One of our regular customers who also stayed for a longer time at the hostel was the Terminator. Some dude from the islands in New Zealand, built like a brick. He seemed like a nice guy though for all I could tell. During one night at about 3 AM, a few minutes after we finished work, me and my roommate are smoking a joint while listening to some music. All of a sudden we hear a single, incredibly loud scream. The kind of scream that the antagonist always does in movies. Do you know what I mean? No emotions in it at all, just pure craziness. It was very unpleasant to hear, and I immediately got up to go tell whoever it was to tone it down. We have other guests that are staying there too after all. But my roommate, a French guy who always had my back, shout out, brother, told me to give it a few minutes to see if it stops. I'll call him Alex. It did, for about an hour. Then again, this scream that seemed inhuman. By now, Alex also had enough and didn't say a word when I got up. I walked down the stairs towards the patio. There was already a confused guest wondering what's going on. Just as I ask him if he knows what all the commotion is about, Terminator shows up. I've been around and have seen some shit, but the look in this guy's eyes is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. This is what I can remember of the conversation. Terminator, Nero 9073. Oh Nero 9073, I'm so glad I found you. Did you see him? Me? See who? What is going on? Terminator, just tell me where he went. Me, what are you talking about, man? Where went who? Terminator, I know you've seen him. By now, Alex has also arrived and is just as confused as everyone else. Me, seen who? You need to elaborate a bit if you want me to help you. Terminator, *PUTS hands on my SHOULDERS *, he just went past here. Where did he go? At this point I realize that something is wrong. The look in his eyes and the nonsense he was talking made it clear. Mariah, who is on night shift duty, also shows up. Me, listen man, I have no idea what you're talking about, and to be honest you're freaking me out. Is everything okay? Terminator, oh no. He told you, right? Oh no. Oh no. Me, calm down, we can sort this out. Just tell me what's going on. Terminator, *GRABBING my shoulders harder and HARDER * tell me where he is. I need to know. Alex, a man, not cool. Let go of him. Me, *GRABBING his wrists, trying to restrain him a bit, calm down. I didn't see anyone, only those of us who are standing here. Terminator takes a look around and sees Mariah, who is standing a few meters behind Alex, and goes completely crazy. He yanks his wrists out of my hands and runs straight at her. Luckily, Alex and the other guest manage to step in. Meanwhile, Mariah is frozen in shock and just stands there, puzzled. Alex and the guest are each holding him by an arm, while he still tries to run at Mariah like a zombie. I get behind him and put him in a chokehold. It took 3 grown men to restrain the guy. I told Mariah to go and call the cops, then lock herself into a room. Almost half the hostel is awake by now, and his best friend, the guy who was traveling with him, finally was there to help, or better said, tried. He started talking to Terminator, and for a second it actually looked like he was calming down once he saw him, but it was a trick. Once his friend convinced us that he was calm enough for me to not choke him anymore, he pulled himself free and bolted across the hostel looking for Mariah. His friend and the rest of us are in hot pursuit, and once he hears the cops he jumps over a fence onto the street. He didn't get very far, there was probably like half a dozen cop cars, dogs and even more officers. We all stood there, watching the silhouette of him run across the street to the sound of barking, until the dogs caught up and mauled him. He was arrested, still screaming like a lunatic. By the next day he had already left the hostel. Mariah quit her job shortly after, and moved somewhere else. I never got to know exactly what it was that made him act that way, but I recall Alex telling me, and I quote, when he looked at Mariah who was standing behind me, it was as if he looked straight through me. Like an animal laying eyes on its prey. Our guess was ice. We started working with a delivery app. Just a rant, plus utter confusion about how these apps are so popular. I'd never use this particular app, ever. It's been utter and complete shit. I work at a fast-paced corporate Tex-Mex restaurant in a suburb. The delivery drivers are routinely an hour late to pick up the food and most look stoned out of their mind or just really sketchy. 1 or 2 are great. This is food that we are paid 70% ish of the menu price on according to our contract. If something is wrong with the delivery, we are charged a fee that is more expensive than most of our cheap off menu items. This may make sense, but they had the wrong menu for a month, and apparently we were getting hit for not including food on items that do not go on there, jalapenos on burgers that don't get them, etc. Our GM instituted a rule to not remake any food from this app because it was already lower profit. It's been suggested that we start making the food when the driver gets here, but with our electronic ordering system, that would be tricky to implement. Recently I came into work, and we had a new corporate pamphlet about what to do when there's an issue with the delivery order. We've only been partnered a month or two and already there's an official corporate communication about what to do if there are problems. Nothing positive about the app is said at all in the entire pamphlet, which is miles away from what corporate was saying initially. I find it extremely funny, because if you read between the lines, there must be tons of issues. The specific issue of the delivery driver being late was mentioned, and we are being told to call the app's customer service line if the driver is late, like we have time for that. I'm finding this sort of funny, because our GM recently started keeping physical receipt for each app order with the pickup time on it. It's not looking good. How are these apps getting business? Judging from my experience, people must be getting really shitty cold, soggy food. Quesadillas and tacos don't taste good after just sitting for 1 hour plus. PS recently a guy called in asking about a delivery with a pickup time of 8:30 at 10:30. I had the pleasure of telling him the food had been made on time and was just sitting there. I suggested he contact their customer service line. Delivery driver arrived 15 minutes later. He ordered the next day. Must have been a credit they gave him. Edit, said we'd been partnered a month. On reflection I think it's been 2. Angry hippie review. For the past 2 weeks, the managing owner of my workplace was out of town. Since there are only 4 employees, and one of them is her daughter, this meant half the staff was out. I took as many hours as I could, because normally I'm very part-time. My other coworker is a lazy idiot, so I spent my shifts after him cleaning up his mistakes. So one Sunday, I'm the only one working all day. This is a small cafe/coffee shop with a fire code maximum of 15 people, including the worker. I got slammed. It was non-stop customers for 2 hours, with over 40 people in the shop at all times. I started printing tickets to keep track of all the orders, but as it is a coffee shop, plain drip coffee or tea is going to be faster than an 8-shot espresso drink, especially when the machine makes 2 shots at a time, each individually ground out and poured. So a hippie type girl and her boyfriend come in the middle of this madness. They have a total of 12 shots needed for their drinks. Another fun piece, we only have 3 steaming cups, so after those 3, I have to wash them and start over. There were about 10 drinks in line ahead of these 2. I'm running around like a headless chicken between taking orders, making drinks, and making food, mainly trying to get people out. After about 5 minutes, the man with hippie girl stops to check on his drinks. No, I didn't forget. Yes, I will be getting to them, and there are still orders ahead of you. Another 5 minutes, he's back. I'm still running, and having to stop to have these conversations. The 4th time, she comes up to me, and I'm so done with them, I say I'll do it right now. The girl stared at me the entire time I sat and made their drinks. I start mixing their drinks, steam their milk, get it poured. I handed her the drinks and apologized, again, and let her know, if she chooses to come back it won't be so crazy. She tells me to breath. I managed to finish the rush, when my husband showed up, to drop off groceries and I forced him to start working, at a job he knows nothing about. Several groups waited it out, so they could actually exit the shop, and stop to tell me what a great job I did handling everything, and how crazy the whole thing had been. I was happy it was over. Then I see the review. Now, it might seem offensive that I keep saying hippie girl, but that's what she is. I saw her FB through a mutual friend. She posts about her smoking pot rights and how to stay mellow and manages a massage parlor. The mutual friend is also a very free-spirited hippie type person, super mellow and lovely. The review went on to say how I gave her cold drinks that I made in front of her with no time to cool. My apologies made her uncomfortable, and I was obviously untrained because I didn't take one order at a time and complete the entire order before speaking to a new customer. It's mean-spirited and nasty, and she ends it with "I'm not complaining, relax girl, you got this," which I'm assuming she posted in order to feel better about her bitchiness. The review goes on and on, basically attacking every part of me with her attempt at witticism. One day after posting it, she removed her name. It kills me, because one, she could have said something to me at the time. Two, she seriously spends half a paragraph complaining about my apologies for the wait. Another customer of mine mentioned to me how he watched her and her man friend ping pong back and forth to me until they got their order and left. Of course I apologized to someone freaking out about the wait. 3. Her review is full of lies. Her drinks weren't cold because the milk sat while I stirred flavor syrup into espresso for 10 seconds. That's how we make every drink. If you've ever ordered from a coffee house, the drinks are usually too hot to even drink right away. And she accused me of sending away a coworker because some deep reasoning prevented me from accepting help, but there was no coworker. It was my poor husband who brought in groceries and did begin to help me. Of the whole awful experience, I had exactly 2 sets of customers get upset, both young millennials. Everyone else was very understanding that if you walk into a coffee shop with a line out the door, you're going to have to wait a bit for your order. It's just the way it is. If you don't want to wait, walk exactly 2 blocks away to the 2 other coffee shops that are much larger. I wish that I could respond to the review to set her straight, but as it is, I'm practicing my response for when she comes in again. She claimed she'd be back. How to tell customers to get faux closing. If a customer has been staying an ungodly amount of time during closing, we turn off music, turn lights up, put chairs up, rarely start sweeping. What do you guys do?